You're listening to The Fire Break with Steve Wolf. Welcome back to The Fire Break. I'm Steve Wolf. As you know, The Fire Break is sponsored by Team Wildfire. You already know what we're doing. I'm not going to go over that again. You can check it out at teamwildfire.com. I've got Krystal Caissie with us from Petawawa, Ontario. And if you haven't said Petawawa before, I recommend it because it's a lot of fun. Krystal, you're a volunteer firefighter up there, and I imagine that with the Canadian fires, you've probably seen some stuff up there. So I want to ask you about your most harrowing experience. I understand that you've been a stay-at-home mom. Can you tell us about the dangers involved in that?
Well, my kids now are 7 and 6. My daughter will be 8 next month.
Wow.
I'm actually, I guess I consider it a legacy, 3 generations of firefighters.
Wow.
So we've always been exposed to it.
Okay.
Yeah. And my daughter's very keen on being a firefighter as well.
4 generations. Huh?
Yeah, I honestly think it would be. She's me. She's just a mini version of me.
So,
yeah.
So who are your predecessor firefighters?
My father's currently in right now. He's in the volunteer department here. This year will be his 10th year. His dad was in before that in Quinte West. It went over a name change in the early 2000s. It's now called Quinte West, but it was several different towns, and Murphy Township was where my grandfather was. And he was there for about 10 years before he retired. He was a captain when he retired.
I see.
Yeah, and I was actually in the hall down the road from him, obviously decades later.
Right.
But that was my first hall, was in Quinte West, Station 3.
And so since you have insider information on what it's like to be in the fire service, as the third of a potential 4 generations of firefighters, what's changed? How is it different now?
I mean, there's a lot that I'm involved with to continue helping with make the change, because I'm the 3rd generation, yes, but I'm the first one. So I've had a lot of support with the Quinte West Fire Department. They encouraged me to keep going and pushing hard, which was excellent. And I owe it all to them, to everything else that I've done. But I'm involved with Camp Molly. And they help get the younger women involved in the fire services. And I've been doing that. This will be my 3rd year. I find that's been the most harrowing, I would say, because I just don't know how to explain it properly, besides I'm really new in the fire services, and I'm trying to get involved in a lot of things, and I'm currently not on a hall right now. So I only have my experiences from Quinte West, and we did medical calls on top of fire calls. And I honestly, it's a good thing, but I've never had the experience of a house fire. It is a good thing because we want to preserve everybody's properties and stuff, right? So I'm glad to say the year and a half that I was with my department before moving up to Petawawa, we didn't have a house fire that we had to attend to, which was incredible considering it was also mid-pandemic. Yeah.
Do you think that people being home more during the pandemic led to less fires because you seldom had an unattended property?
I would say it could be either way. I mean, during the pandemic, when I would come up and visit my family in Petawawa, my dad was at house fires constantly, and they seen a massive spike in house fires because everybody was home. And then you have people home,
both ways,
and they're bored. I mean, some people did the DIY electrical, but probably shouldn't have done that. Or, cooking. Everybody's cooking at home because restaurants were closed. So, there's a lot of unattended cooking in the kitchen going on. Somebody gets sidetracked, whatnot. Or people who don't normally cook started cooking at home. So there was a lot of house fires, and I remember it skyrocketed between probably late 20, early 21. And then it seems pretty calm now over the last year and a half.
Tell me about Camp Molly.
Camp Molly is definitely my new passion. So for me, the backstory as to why Camp Molly is so important to me is I used to go to a camp when I was a kid called Camp Trillium. And it was a camp for children with childhood cancer and their families. So my brother is actually 23 years this year, cancer free. So we went there, and that's why I loved camp. And it was just so inspiring, and people were so energetic and just loving everything. And now coming into Camp Molly, I was introduced actually because I was seeking out how to develop my career further in the fire services. And I reached out to Monique Belair, who's the chief of fire services down in Kingston, Ontario. And she is the trailblazer, an amazing trailblazer for fire services. She's been incredible at helping me develop my career. But she founded Camp Molly, and Camp Molly is named after the first female firefighter in America, in New York City. And she decided to do Camp Molly for all the girls that can be involved in the fire services, because we were just talking actually the other day. We do some Skype once in a while, and we've got the new Camp Molly season heading out now, and it's about empowering women in not just suppression part of fire services, but in all aspects of fire services. So we set up evolutions for the girls to go through as if we were actually training on the fire grounds. And what's incredible is the first year I did it, I was a captain for a team of 5 girls. And there's 35 girls from 15 to 18 years old. And they answer a question as to why they want to be a firefighter, why they think Camp Molly would help them. And then they go through the selection process. And they have 35 girls for each camp that we go to. And they're split up in 5s. We all have bright colored shirts so that we can see all the girls on the grounds, which is awesome. My first year, I was with the yellow team, and it was my first experience being on the instructor side of things, because I was still a probationary firefighter for the volunteer fire department at the time. But I am a very energetic person, and I have no issues talking with people. So she thought I'd be good for that role, in being it's basically like a lead camp counselor position, but with fire services. So it's a captain position that you get. But it was incredible. It was such an experience. And it's not even just the experience for the girls, but for myself, it was incredible to watch them go in and be like so uncertain about how they're going to do forcible entry. It's like, oh my gosh, you have to hit it that hard. And I'm like, no, okay, you guys can do this. Just listen to what your instructors say. And then myself and my co-captain, we had to demonstrate and do the forcible entry for the girls, and they're like all apprehensive about it. But when they actually got to use their aggression and actually smash up against the door, they were just like, oh my gosh, that was so exciting. Can we do it again? I was like, as long as everybody gets around through first, have at her, you know? And the other one, so that was in 22. And in 23, I got to be an instructor, which I thought was incredible. That was a completely different role. And I actually got to be a co-instructor with my instructor that gave me my Fire 1 certifications. And he basically did the first day and kind of just let me take over. And I'm one of those people that just, if you're going to let me take over, I'll run with it. It's okay. I'll do that. No problem. So we were doing ladders, hoses, and teaching the girls how to raise the ladders properly. And we were doing hydrants as well. So we had to teach them how to catch a hydrant. And we did the hose rolls. So the donut rolls, we got to do that with the girls. But with the ladders, they have to climb the ladder and they have to do their leg lock and then let go and they lean back. And they're supposed to trust themselves because they're locked in. You're not going anywhere. And you've got one of the girls, they're learning how to butt the ladder. So they're holding everything down, explaining, don't put your hands on the rungs. We don't want your fingers squished. Like we go through every step, but safety is like the biggest thing, of course, even when we're on the grounds. I mean, safety is the biggest thing. So it's constantly letting them know the safety things, but also doing it in an upbeat way so that they keep entertained and keep pushing themselves. And I had one girl that was like, I don't like heights. I was like, well, just try it. I was like, if you want to go up 3 rungs, go up 3 rungs. She ended up going the 3 rungs and she did it. She was like apprehensive, but she's like, okay, I'm close enough to the ground. And she leaned back. And then the next time she did it from 6 rungs up. And I'm like, you know what? That's awesome. That's great. And we actually have tons of pictures of Camp Molly, which I can send you some later if you want to take a look.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm very passionate about it if you can't tell. So that was in Quinte West. So both those two ones were in Quinte West. This is actually my shirt from my first year. Um, and yeah, the girls, just the look on their faces after they get off the ladders being like, I did that. That's incredible. I actually did that. And they actually get to put out a fire as well. When we go into the tower, you smoke out the tower, they get to go out and put it out. And we teach them all the safety rules and everything before they actually get to do the evolution, explain absolutely everything. So they go through their entire SCBA setup, learning how to use everything. And then we double check them as well, just to make sure.
What age girls is this?
15 to 18 years old. Yeah.
Okay.
There was one girl that actually was there 2 years in a row, and she came to volunteer the next year, which was pretty cool. So that was nice to see. And one of the girls from my first group actually went into the fire services. And when we did the graduation for the girls, because it's a 4-day, actually, I should start with that first. It's 4 days. So it's always the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And Sunday we do a fire fit challenge, and we do the graduation ceremony for the girls. And it is actually, I found it quite emotional just because I'm so proud of them. Like going from very introverted type, like not knowing how to do anything. And I mean, being a teenage girl is not always a fun thing. I mean,
Right.
we've seen it either if you've had, going through it yourself, or you have a sister or anything, right? And just all of the camaraderie that was within 35 girls, it was amazing. Everybody was encouraging everybody. There was absolutely no negativity on those grounds. And all the women that come from all over Ontario, we even have women come out from Calgary, Alberta, to help organize the evolutions for the girls. We also have every lunch is a speak in lunch. So we have someone come in and talk to the girls for the hour on their lunchtime about their journey through the fire services, or if it was military, because we have some Canadian military women come in and talk about their career, and just to give the girls some inspiration towards what they could do when they're older. And like I was saying, one of the girls from my first group got a reward the day of the graduation for a small scholarship for her pre-service program that she went into. So she's actually finishing this year, her pre-service. And I'm hoping that she'll be at Camp Molly, maybe for a, just kind of go in and volunteer, or even pop in and say hi. We're in 10 different places this year.
Really? So you're running camps simultaneously?
I'm not personally.
I mean, but Camp Molly is running in 10 locations.
Yes. So we're actually, we've moved from just Ontario. We're in Saskatchewan, and we're going to be in Quebec this year, which is incredible. I know there's been international interest as well, which is exhilarating, I think, because I think everybody could use something like this, either just a junior firefighter program, or just to encourage women. When I was talking to me the other day, we were talking about how it is difficult for women to still be getting in. And I agree. Like, I decided to, because I'm having a harder time getting in, because I only have my fire one, because I ended up missing my fire two because I had to have surgery on my elbow. So you can't hold a chainsaw and be able to do that if I'm recovering from that. But so I've decided to do my Ontario Fire Academy program, and I was accepted to it. So I start blended May 6th. And when I'm done, my last Camp Molly I'll be attending, I'll be a fully qualified firefighter, which I'm very excited about.
At your next one?
Yes. So I have, I'm actually doing 3 this year. Usually I only do 1, but Quinte West isn't running this year, and she spread it out. So in May, I'm going to Kingston. I think it's the 23rd to the 26th of May. I'll be in Kingston. And then June I have off. July 11th to 15th is going to be in King County, which is close to Orillia, Ontario. And then the last one is taking place in Barrie, Ontario, which is, I believe, the last weekend of September. The fact that I remembered the first 2 dates was pretty good.
I was impressed. So this sounds like it's, you're kind of simultaneously solving 2 problems through Camp Molly. One is that teenagers of any gender just have very little exposure to careers. Mm-hmm. And you ask what they want to do, and like, how are they supposed to know what to do when they haven't gotten a look behind the curtain and really anything, right? So that's huge. And then
Hmm.
also we have the problem that, less and less people are wanting to go into the fire service. And
Yeah.
so this is kind of a draw for that.
Yeah, and it really is. And I do think that because I've been on LinkedIn for a while. I joined when I was a stay-at-home mom. I was actually on maternity leave with my son. And I can't believe he's going to be 7 this summer. But they grow fast.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. They actually want to volunteer with me. So when I go down for the Camp Molly in Kingston, my husband's family's in Trenton, Ontario. So he's going to go down that weekend and then he's going to meet me there. So the kids can actually meet the girls and give out their Gatorade and stuff like that. Cause everything is all chipped in from the community. So everybody
Okay.
sponsors the lunches and the food for the girls. And it's an incredible thing. But yeah, I'll give you the address, the email address as well, their webpage. And then that way you can anybody can take a look at it. It's so cool. Um, I
Do
can't
they have
say
a
enough good
manual on
about
how
it.
to do, let's say people in California, Colorado, Texas, Florida,
I
want to
would
put on a
honestly,
Camp Molly? Is there here's how to
yeah.
do it
Well,
book?
there's no form or anything, but you can contact Monique Belair directly. She is the founder of Camp Molly, um, and yeah, they would just you could go through the web page, which and then there's a contact us section where it can show volunteers, or there's an email also that you can send to say, hey, I'm really interested in this. How can we get this happening? I know that my 5-year goal is I would love to bring Camp Molly to the Ottawa Valley because the Ottawa Valley is a pretty big area. It goes from Deep River, Ontario, to almost Arnprior, Ontario, close to Ottawa. So I would love to bring it here because I feel that there's not very many. It's a very male-dominated area. We live close to the military base here, and they're growing up. Like I
Wait,
grew up here
I thought
too.
you were up in Canada.
I am in Canada.
You have military base there too?
Of course we do.
I'm just kidding.
Of
the
course.
the world famous Canadian military.
Yeah, no, I grew up here, so I'm used to hearing the artillery training area and everything like that. It was actually funny because a little side story. My husband moved up here. He's from Trenton, and that's the biggest air base we have. And he's used to the planes. It took me forever to get used to the planes, but he came here and he heard artillery for the first time, and I honestly didn't notice it at all. I didn't even flinch. And he's like, "Oh my gosh, what is that?" And I'm like, what? It took me a second to be like, oh, he's talking about the guns out in the training area. I'm like, don't worry, that's like really, really far away. I was like, but yeah, you're going to hear that all the time. And they do let us know if there are going to be bigger ones because, I mean, that's quite shocking to have happen when you not know about it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Listen,
but I mean, there's a lot of potential for Camp Molly to grow here, um, and I can't think of a better place to do it. We've got so many different departments right up through that, you take the facility that has a classroom and we've got fire grounds that they can practice on. You can pull everything together because I know that there's going to be people like local businesses that are going to want to have one, it gives them free publicity, and two, they're helping out young people decide the career that they want to take. Because I know when I was 17, they're like, what do you want to do? I don't know. I did an extra year of high school which we call the victory lap because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't
yeah,
really, it's an oxymoron, really. It's not a victory lap. It's, I don't know what I want to do lap, is what it should have been called. But
but that's great to
yeah,
have that opportunity to do that 5th year of high school if you don't know what you want to do versus just
yeah,
bumming around on the street.
yeah. And it was helpful too, because what they did was like the first semester, we took 3 courses. And when we had because each class was 75 minutes. So we'd have 3 classes or 2 classes in the morning, 2 classes in the afternoon. You'd have 1 spare each semester that you were in school. So then that way, you're only working on 3 classes because you don't need to have more, but you can have an additional spare too. It's just, I rode a bus, and if I took less than that, I couldn't ride the bus to school.
Oh, that's funny.
So, and that was like a 40-minute bus ride. So there was just to clarify, there was a school on the base, but I was really into social science and history and stuff like that. And they wanted to put me in wood shop. And then, like, I'm comfortable with woodworking stuff now. But then it was like, I don't even want to go near the saw. So no, I don't want to do that. So, I mean, interests change decades later. I mean, I'm going to be 37, so it was 20 years ago. But yeah, I really think that Camp Molly could be great here. we don't have anything for the fire. Like you were saying, like there's not as many people coming in, and having a lack of firefighter interest is only going to hurt a community as a whole, right? So I was actually on LinkedIn the other day, and I seen an article about them having a fire truck donated to the school so that they can learn about the fire truck and actually like, get their hands on things and see if they're interested in it. I'm like, it's a phenomenal idea. I think more
That's really
schools should
great.
be doing that. If you have an auto systems class, or I never took it, so I'm not sure if it's called that everywhere, or auto tech. I mean, I think that'd be a great way to have, new interest in the fire services. And I think that's awesome. And also having some places have junior firefighter programs where, they don't respond to calls or anything, but they attend training, and, they do things around the fire hall where you don't want to scrub the hoses because you're not the probie anymore. Or if you have somebody coming in and they can scrub the hoses for you, you don't
Right.
have to do that.
Very, very interesting. It sounds like a really dynamic program and growing. And I'd be very surprised if it's not an international program within the next decade.
Oh my goodness. I think it would be phenomenal if it was. I mean, like right now, they did. I think it was just Canada, but out of all the career firefighters, it's 4.2% that are women. Um,
Oh,
and
wow.
and I think it's not just for lack of hiring or anything like that. I also think that it has lack of to do with um, not being aware that, because you're like, fire services was male dominated, right? So a woman looking at that and be like, oh, I can't do that. That's what guys do, or something like that, which shouldn't be the way to think about it, as that way. Like, you shouldn't think about it that way. But I mean, I know I did, for example, like I was a lifeguard for years. I did all of the Bronze Cross and the NLS and all that stuff. And I did it for years. And I absolutely loved it, but I'm like, I can't make this a career. I'm going to have to pick something. And I was like, okay, well, all right, I'll pick something. So I was good with kids. So I went into working with kids. Um, and it wasn't until 2019, after my best friend joined her local department. And she's like, no, if I can do this, you can do this. I'm like, are you sure? She's like, you even have background. Just go do it. Don't stop doubting yourself. Honestly, if it wasn't for her pushing, I think it would have taken me longer to get. I would have got there. I know I would have, just because how much it resonates with me, and I know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But yeah, if it wasn't for her to keep kind of nudging me, then I probably would have taken a lot longer than than that. But
I mean, there are some good examples like Laura Kavanaugh, who's the fire commissioner for, New York City Fire Department. And so,
mm-hmm.
you know, it's changing maybe at the
It
top and
is.
the bottom, and now we're waiting for the middle to catch up.
Yeah. And I mean, change doesn't happen overnight. Change happens over a long period of time. And I mean, as long as change eventually does happen, I mean, that's our goal. So if it takes a little bit longer, well, then we just need to be patient and just keep pushing and going with it. I mean, that's the best way you can look at it, right?
Yeah, that's right. Now, what's the situation with wildfires now? People all up and down the east coast of the U.S., spent for the first time a fair amount of time breathing pretty intense smoke, which, we thank you for your exports. And
You
at
didn't
least,
thank us for our smoke, though, right?
yeah, that's
Up in
that's
New
what I
York.
meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for a lot there was several weeks there where smoke was the main Canadian export.
I know. I remember seeing a few of those memes, and it made me laugh. I know here we were kind of surrounded actually at one point. So in Petawawa, we lived down on the Petawawa Point. My husband and I bought a house here. Actually, I used to walk past this house constantly, walking down to the beach when I was growing up, never to know that this was going to be my house with my husband. So that's kind
Wow.
of neat. Yeah. And so we kind of, Petawawa has, like, when you go down to the point, there's two big hills that come down. So it's almost like a low valley point.
Mm-hmm.
And we were getting Quebec's right across the Ottawa River, or Petawawa River. And we had the smoke fires there. We had Calabogie Peaks on fire as well. And then in the training area from the artillery, we had a fire there. So our main highway is Highway 17. And my husband would come home from work and he's like, I can see the smoke from the training area. He's like, is that the new fire? Or I was like, actually, that's the one that's going out. The new one's further the other
Oh,
way.
wow.
Yeah, we had a lot. I remember I took a few pictures actually, and I posted one on LinkedIn. Photos did not do it justice. I remember looking outside going, oh my gosh, like it was glowing like an amber color. It was really bad. And once it took like a couple weeks of it and before it kind of blew out with the wind. But the first day it was in our house. All I could smell was campfire in our house. And I was like, oh, okay, we've got to get a different kind of um, filter for our
Yeah,
furnace.
that's right.
And I think, I can't remember, I think it's like 13, whatever the number is for the filters. If you have 13 and up, it actually will filter out the smoke from the wildfires. And it
I
worked.
see.
It worked well. Like you do pay a little bit more. I think it was $60 for two, because our furnace is weird. It's a 20 by 20 by 1. So it's like just a
Oh,
square
wow.
one. But yeah, so we got those, and honestly, it's been a world of difference. It actually helps with allergies too, because spring started early. My tree already has buds on it, so it filters out all the extra allergens, so I don't have to worry about being stuffy.
That's very useful. Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
this it was like only in the last year that I started to see companies that make air filters specifically branding towards wildfire usage.
Yeah, and I never even thought of that until I had watched a video someone had posted on LinkedIn that I follow, and I was just like, oh, I was literally trying to wrap my brain about how am I going to keep this out of the house. And then when they had said that, I was like, okay, perfect. So I went to Rona and just grabbed it. It was nice and close, so that's a bonus. But yeah, this year I think we haven't had anything out this year. Everything's sopping wet still here. Like we don't have a notice or anything about no campfires or anything. But I know Madoc, Ontario, and Sterling Rod in Ontario, which is the department that my friend's in. They're both on an alert. You can't burn from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m., I believe it is, because it's really dry. They got a lot less snow and a lot less rain than we did. I mean, we've been snow covered straight through from November until the beginning of March. And I mean, my snowbanks just melted last week. So our ground, and I still have an ice patch in my backyard because the sun doesn't quite reach there.
Yeah.
Um, so we still like our ground's really soggy. A lot of water still around. We don't have a lot of drive right now. I mean, the El Nino just rolled through, so I'm sure there's more in store.
It'll all be
Um,
changing before you know it.
yeah, exactly. I know that Alberta already issued wildfire burn warnings and stuff. And I've been posting jobs that have been posted on the government site for my area for the wildfire firefighters. And I've been posting just because I don't have the qualifications, but somebody out there does, and somebody might want to have the opportunity to, go somewhere different and help out their community. But in the last week, there was 4 postings, which is I watch it all the time, and that's quite the increase, and also very early. I noticed last year they didn't post it until May. This year they posted it in March, which coincides with everything that everybody's been saying with the wildfires. And I try to keep up on it as much as I can. I'm signed up for the webinars when they go up for just so that I can get some more information, because I mean, it's only going to help my community too, by, keeping myself informed. And then I also share it so other people can see it as well.
So how do people who are hiring for these positions compete when, you know, the whole world is
Um,
short for firefighters?
See, that's the thing. I think every place does it. So the government, I'm not sure how they do it. I can only speak to my personal experience, and I know that in Quinny West, when we did it, they basically had 7 different evolutions set up, and you had to go through each evolution, and there's a out of 5 score, um, and you go through each one, and you have all your scores through, and then they total it up. And once you're above a certain number, then they take you. But they also put into consideration your determination. I'm not somebody. I'm very a persistent person. I do not like to give up. So I keep pushing through, and that was the one thing. So my hardest point was carrying the dummy. and it's 175 pounds. I'm like, that's what I weigh at the time. I'm like, great. And I had a really hard time lifting him up. So a couple firefighters did help me lift him up. So that's where I lost the points. And I couldn't do the whole thing, but I did half, and I would not stop. It actually was only supposed to be 60 seconds, and I'll admit it took me probably about 15. And that's when they're like, oh, you can stop. And I was like, no, just let me get to that point. That was my goal. I'm going to get to that point because then I've accomplished something. Like I recognize that that was my weakness, which I've been focusing on for a few years on that, just to try to, you got to strengthen your weaknesses somehow. So, but because of my determination, and it showed there, and actually my division commander for the station I ended up being on was there watching. I didn't know I had an audience at that point until I turned around and I was like, oh, great, everybody's watching that. But they were actually all encouraging me, and I noticed like I could hear them, but you know how when you're focused on something, you can hear everything, but you're not processing everything on the outside because you're so focused on the project at hand. That's what it was like for me. And I was like, oh, great. There is a lot of people standing around, and it was darker too. It went into the evening too. So then that way they can see how we are on the ground in day and night. But I mean, every department's different. Sometimes you only have to do a few things. But I'm not sure how the government does it. I know that they first will send out a knowledge test to see where your knowledge is on that. And then based on your test on that, then you would follow in next steps. And I would presume that they would be, follow up to, okay, if you did well on the test, let's see if you can do the security clearance and this and that, because it's through the government. So you still have to have that security clearance. And yeah, I don't think that it's too of a likely one because they're so looking for it, but it's still, I would say it's still the same process, but it's not as drawn out. I know sometimes the jobs can be drawn out in like the process of, okay, well now we've got to contact your references and everything else. I know that when I went into Station 3, I did my medical and everything while I was actually observing everything. So from the November when I got accepted to the February when I started actually responding and got my pager, I was there every Wednesday night when we had training from 7 until 9 for observation. And I would help do all the inspections of the vehicles and things like that. And I would learn along with them. And that way, like I was prepared. So like I put in my hours before I was able to actually respond to calls, which I think is a really great process how they did it. I felt more prepared to actually respond to calls because I was listening. They gave us our pagers, but we weren't allowed to respond with our pagers. Just so then that way we can hear the calls, hear what's going on, and learn from the situation, which is what I like to do. And that was just for my station. And then if you open up your radio, you can get all 7 stations that were linked with Quinte West. So then that way there's more calls you listen to, the more you can learn from, which is the way I look at it. Just because I like to get my hands on as much knowledge as I can, because it's only going to, by doing Camp Molly, I'm bringing that to the girls. I'm bringing it to the next generation. And I think it's really important to show the next generation that how committed we are to the change of, having everybody involved equally. Like, you're always paired with a partner. You're never firefighting alone. They're going to pair whoever has, whatever your weaknesses are. They'll find the person that has the strengths to your weaknesses, and you'll be paired together when you go in. They're not going to put you in harm's way at all. That's how I view it, how I see it. And what I've witnessed myself, so I always make sure to let them know when at Camp Molly, they're always so nervous. I'm like, oh, don't worry. We've got everything. We're here. We're here to protect you, and you're safe. Like, we've got tons of stuff situated so that you don't have to worry about it, which makes them, more at ease as well.
Sure.
So that they're able to perform.
And I love what your observers noticed about you, or anyone else, what you lack in strength or any other category, you can make up with determination.
And you really can. I don't think a lot of people realize that. And I think that's one of the things that are keeping women or, from applying for even anybody, any gender for that matter. It might be what's keeping them from applying, keeping them being interested in the fire service, thinking, oh, I've got to be strong. I've got to be this. I've got to be that. There's so many people that make a fire service, and you're a family. Everybody takes care of their fire family. And it is so true. Like when I was living in Quinte West, all my family was here in Petawawa because my grandmother passed in 19, and that was my family connection there. And, you know, they one of the guys' wives babysat my kids every day for me while I was at work. Like, you know, they do a lot. And then it's nice when you go there, everybody's just calm and you're welcomed right away. I never felt like I had to earn anything when I was in the hall. So that hall will always be in my special place for me. It was the one that gave me, you know, the benefit of the doubt and gave me the opportunity to be a firefighter and be like, yes, this is exactly what I need to be doing. If I had Camp Molly when I was a teenager, this wouldn't have taken me so long. I know for a fact. So
wonderful. Well, you make it sound very appealing and exciting. I'm
well,
sure, you know, a lot of young people are going to come through. I want to just thank you so much for joining me on the Fire Break today. It was really interesting to hear what you're working on.
Thank you very much for asking me. I appreciate that too.
Absolutely. So we've been speaking with Krystal Caissie up in Petawawa, which, by the way, if you just go Petawawa images on your search tool, so gorgeous. Can't recommend.
You should see it in the fall.
Oh my goodness,
man.
absolutely beautiful. Great. Well, thank you all so much for joining Krystal and I right here on the Fire Break. The Fire Break is sponsored by Team Wildfire. Check us out at teamwildfire.com, and you're going to see our technology coming out pretty soon. Thanks so much. Be well, take care, and see you at the next one.